3 is a resolution of the City Commission urging the state legislature to amend the Live Local Act to allow for municipal-based median incomes rather than the area median incomes currently utilized in the Live Local Act.
This is an item that I sponsored. I've been working on this since last year, and I really would want the Commission's support on this. The whole point of this legislation is to strengthen the Live Local Act. The Live Local Act is not going away, and I think we need to find ways that it benefits both parties. So that being said, I don't believe a statewide or county-wide affordability schedule works in large. I think, let me put something into perspective. Miami-Dade County, Opa-locka, Hialeah, Coral Gables, City of Miami, we are so diverse. Now, let's say a building comes up and a one-bedroom is $2,200 countywide. That means that if you're gonna develop something in Hialeah, you're gonna be paying the same amount as if you're gonna develop something in Coral Gables. So what happens there? What happens there is that the probability of building a Live Local Act building here or in a more affluent municipality is a lot higher. And I think the legislature's intent is to build more affordable housing. Now, how about we give every municipality a fair chance to go ahead and improve housing? That's why I'm proposing, if the commission can please support me, that we do municipality-based AMI schedules. So depending on the municipality, that's how much the Live Local Act building price schedule would be. And yeah, this basically works better for counties like Miami-Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach, Hillsborough, and Orange County. Those are the biggest counties that this would take effect on. And that is it. Yeah.
You done? Just want to make sure you're done.
I mean, the ultimate goal here is to obtain more affordable housing throughout the state. That's the ultimate goal.
Throughout the state or in the city of Coral Gables?
Throughout the state. And in combination, I think it helps the city. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, let me respond.
Okay.
Colleagues, I want to be absolutely clear about where I stand on this proposal and why I'm vehemently opposed. What's being suggested here is that the city of Coral Gables should raise the income threshold used to define workforce housing under the Live Local Act from the county median income to the higher city of Coral Gables income. And let's be honest about what that really means. It would allow developers to charge higher rents while calling units workforce housing. This does not produce more affordability, it produces more profit. It does not reduce developer pressure, it actually encourages more high-density projects. Let me reiterate that. It actually encourages more high-density projects. How do I know this? Because I spoke to several developers about this, and they're chomping at the bit that this passes today. Live Local already overrides local zoning. Let me repeat this, because I think that some people who are, especially the sponsor of this, doesn't understand this issue. Live Local already overrides local zoning, grants a 190.5-foot height entitlement, allows a floor area ratio of 5 that doesn't exist anywhere in the city of Coral Gables, and provides unlimited density with administrative approval. It gives developers a fast-track path with no minimal public hearing and no commission oversight or board oversight. If we now voluntarily raise the income threshold, we're simply sweetening the deal, making Coral Gables even more attractive for larger, taller projects, not less. Let me reiterate that again. I want to make sure that everybody hears that. If we now voluntarily, this is what we're asking to do here, raise the income threshold, we're simply sweetening the deal, making Coral Gables even more attractive for larger, taller projects, not less. So let's call this what it is. This proposal makes it easier for developers to build more towers, more density, more high-rises, while offering fewer truly affordable units for the working families we came to be helping. I cannot and will not support a change that expands Live Local's reach and fuels even more intense development in our city. We have fought tirelessly to protect the scale and character of Coral Gables. Case in point, 760 Ponce. 5 years of negotiating with residents between a developer to get a building that was within scale and received complete resident approval from the neighborhood. We have fought tirelessly to protect the scale and character of Coral Gables. We have stood up to state preemptions that strip away local control. I will not sit here and endorse a change that hands developers an even bigger incentive to build higher, denser, and faster under Live Local. This proposal undermines affordability and supercharges development. It is dangerous and reckless. It moves Coral Gables in the exact opposite direction of what our residents expect and deserve. For those reasons, I strongly and unequivocally am opposed to this. If you look at the legislation, it's very key, it's very simple. It's not my opinion, these are facts. If you look here, under this whereas right here, very clearly, I hope everybody can read it. It says, whereas a municipal-based approach in large counties would expand the number of viable locations where developers can build attainable housing, therefore increasing the total statewide supply of workforce units and strengthening the local economies that rely on essential workers. So, in closing, this is a Trojan horse. This is an opportunity to have Live Local throughout our city. No other city is moving in the direction of expanding Live Local. What they're trying to do is restrict Live Local. Everybody's afraid of Live Local. That's the battle that we have right now. And I know that one thing has nothing to do with the other. The manager and I have had multiple meetings with the project and the RTZ, and we've made significant progress, correct?
That is correct, Mayor.
Progress on impact fees, on art in public places, on the design, on the height, on the articulation of the building, on parking, a litany of issues that, again, under the RTZ, we would have no actual jurisdiction to. And by the way, they wouldn't even have to come and get consent in regards to the exterior skin and design. We're pushing Mediterranean, they were pushing a more contemporary design. So we've reeled all these in through the negotiations, and I thank the commission for allowing me the privilege to represent them. So I am adamantly opposed to this. I think it's dangerous and reckless, and it's a Trojan horse for more development in our community. Madam Vice Mayor?
So I was going to start off with a simple statement that the math hurts us, and it hurts us tremendously. Instead of a minimum rental profit margin of $2,200 per unit, you're going to $2,600 per unit. My God, they would be coming here in droves. 760 Ponce is an example of a piece of land that easily could have gone to Live Local. And instead of 2 years of negotiations with residents, they wouldn't have had to talk to them at all for their input. The math tremendously hurts us. It increases the profits for developers. It'll encourage more Live Local Act projects. When I ran for office, my goal was to limit the tall buildings to the central business district, because that zoning was, that horse had left the barn and it's not coming back. It's already been approved for tall buildings. I didn't want it coming outside of there, but Live Local expands the reach of the height and density that we have in the central business district a mile beyond its borders. 190.5 feet in areas that we never dreamed would have been appropriate for that kind of height or density. And on top of it all, it decreases our tax revenues. So the rest of the residents that are paying taxes are shouldering more of the burden for all the goods, services, transportation, and maintenance of the roads and sidewalks and so forth that Live Local project brings to us, because we're collecting fewer revenues from that project. It's the wrong direction to go. The math doesn't work. So sorry to be that blunt about it. Perhaps it wasn't clear for you, but this is a bad idea.
Commissioner Lara?
Well, I understand that what Commissioner Castro, you're proposing is a resolution to appeal to the legislature to amend Live Local, right? This is not an ordinance that we're looking to pass or a resolution to pass to actually amend it ourselves.
Correct.
But with that being said, based on what the mayor said, based on what the vice mayor said, based upon what I understand from having read the resolution, to me, this appears to be an attempt to convert Live Local into more of a pro-developer version of Live Local. Can you explain to me why I'm wrong, if I am?
Absolutely. The whole point actually in this legislation is to give other municipalities surrounding us the opportunity to build more buildings and maybe push them out of Coral Gables. That's the whole point of this legislation. I'm sorry that my colleagues had to change the narrative completely. It's a shame that their vision doesn't go as far as mine. I've been meeting with all the states in Florida within the committee that I am in, and I think this is a wonderful idea.
May I respond? May I respond? The preemption starts from the tip to the end of the state of Florida. It does not cherry pick certain cities and counties. That is preposterous and absolutely ridiculous by far. It just is another attempt to confuse people in this community. This legislation here that you're passing, and the city attorney can help you understand it, and the city manager can help you. I know that you don't understand it. Will promote more buildings, taller buildings. It just says it there. You want to extend our FAR to 5. We don't allow FAR under our current zoning code under any circumstances. The highest is a 4.25, correct? With 4.25. Madam Zoning Director, I want to make sure I get it correct. The highest FAR currently allowed in the city is what, Madam Director?
It's,
I just want to,
With med bonus and with TDR, it's 4.375.
okay, 4.375.
Right.
So I'm happy it's coming from the zoning director. No one is trying to misdirect or scuttle your legislation or your resolution. We're proving points. You're asking for an FAR 5 that doesn't exist in the city. You're asking for a blanket live local approach, which will allow buildings to be built of 190.5. This goes against the city, completely against our zoning codes and our standards. And think about it. If we're urging the state of Florida to pass to make live local more intensive, you think they're going to say, "Hey, thanks, Coral Gables, for sending this resolution. We're going to exclude you, but we're going to include every city around you. So you're going to be the donut hole." They're going to say, "No, we're going to include every city in the state of Florida. If the cities are asking for it, we'll bring it to the entire state." No one is asking for this. This is lunacy. So, Commissioner Lara, I apologize, I interrupted you.
No worries. To me, what you're proposing, and I'm trying to make it simple, is that you're incentivizing the developers to build via Live Local here in Coral Gables. More than anything else, if you were to successfully lobby the legislature to amend Live Local in the manner that you say, by raising it to being a municipal-based income versus area-based, I still believe that that's, in the end, a pro-developer move on your part. I don't know how to see it any other way.
Okay.
Yes,
Through the mayor.
Commissioner.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe I just saw it a different way. Because coming in here, I thought it would be something that would benefit us because of the impact that we're going to have from projects like Sears, which would not benefit from the Coral Gables rent prices. But I think the arguments that are being made, and that's why it's good to have these discussions where we all kind of talk through it. I can see the adverse effect that it may have on promoting, indirectly promoting Live Local within our city. I have heard the same concerns up in at the League of Cities where there are municipalities, and actually a lot of municipalities are trying to see how this component could be changed because it is raising in certain cases the low threshold of rent in their municipalities, and in others it is reducing it instead of just focusing on a municipal basis. Coming into here, I thought it was a great idea because it would prevent us from dealing with issues like Sears, where we have no say on the matter and we would have no benefit from it. But I also don't want to send a message to Tallahassee where, hey, let's raise it and let's attract it here in Coral Gables. Because to this point, let's be honest, with Live Local, it has been used as a method to try to increase what they're able to get. Nobody has actually come through with a Live Local project in Coral Gables. Why?
one.
Because it has not made sense. Right, we have one that
It's on the pipeline.
we have one in the pipeline. Different neighborhood, and that's something that also factors into where that project fits in, but it's not something that makes sense across the street from the plaza.
May I interject?
Sure,
When you
sure.
say a different neighborhood, we just approved the project, 77 feet across the street from this proposed project. This Live Local, which is being proposed, would be 190.5, correct? What was the number? What What was the number, final
When
number?
was it approved today?
Well,
It was less than 77 feet.
I apologize, excuse me, excuse me. I
61
apologize. Thank you.
feet.
No, no, correct me if I'm wrong, not a problem. Actually, better. So you're literally saying across the street, you're gonna have a building that is potentially 130 feet taller, almost, 120 feet taller, let's say. So we can go back and forth. I've had conversations with state representatives and state senators. I've called them about this. I did my due diligence, I did my homework. I read them the legislation, the resolution that's being proposed. They said that this is like the Titanic hitting an iceberg. Why would you want to do this to yourself? You're asking us to spread Live Local even further and increase density, intensity, increasing your FAR. It doesn't make any sense. But again,
And I understand. I think we should just tone down, the conversation. I think we're having a productive conversation. And I think let's not lose the message because we're trying to attack each other. And I don't want the attacks don't need to be here. I think just having a conversation on the facts convinces me that this doesn't work for Coral Gables. And that's what the message I'm trying to send across. And that's why these conversations are productive, because I came into today looking at it from a perspective of how are these projects that are in neighboring neighborhoods, and you never know what could come in South Miami, what could come, we have the 39-story building that's coming where Sunset Place is. That's gonna have a huge impact in Coral Gables. And I'm sure there are others that are gonna follow. Those are gonna have a major impact on us. The Coral Gables property value, the rental value of Coral Gables is raising their ability to get a little bit more from those projects. That's the way I saw it coming in. But the arguments that all of you have made show me that perhaps we just have to look at it in a different way, because that's not going to solve the problem that we're trying to solve. It really could create more problems for us in the long run. In fact, I think one of the biggest issues Live Local has is the definition of jurisdiction when it comes to height. It has never truly been defined. It has been left there as jurisdiction. It's been interpreted as the county, as a city, but developers could technically come in and say, hey, you have a building in the county across the street. It hasn't been taken to court yet, but they could technically come in on that front. That's a term that should be defined as the municipality, because that keeps the projects lower. And that assures us that you're not going to have a 27 or a 39-story building, because now you have a 39-story building within the 1 mile radius, and they're going to want to take advantage of it in Coral Gables. That's an issue that we definitely could see coming forward in the future, unless the legislature does define that term as the municipality, not jurisdiction.
Through the mayor.
yes.
Yeah, so the whole intent of this legislation was not to increase density or FAR. And when Commissioner Lara says here it's very pro-development, I think we both, or all of us here, know that I'm not pro-development at all. If anything, I am pro-residents, pro-quality of life of the residents I represent. So that might be a misconception, or maybe I expressed myself wrong, okay? The whole intent of this legislation is to, one, support the legislator to go ahead and have more affordable housing through all municipalities in the county. Right now, the way the fee schedule is, does not work for us. Now, if you guys feel more comfortable and you guys can support whatever we have right now, if it was 4.3, please do so. There was no intent here to raise anything. The whole intent here is to spread it around, to give other municipalities a chance to go ahead and build. Municipalities like maybe Miami Gardens or Opa-lacka, Hialeah, maybe industrial zones can also take advantage of this, and we can spread the love everywhere, not just stay in, City of Miami and Coral Gables.
So
Through the mayor.
I want to ask two things really quick. First, support the legislator. Who's the legislator you're talking about?
We can go ahead and have a conversation
I'm asking
with
who the-
Representative Vicky Lopez.
Okay, she's no longer a representative as of this afternoon. She's now your county commissioner. So don't support her. She's your county commissioner now.
Okay,
Just so you know
so-
that. She was named. I'm not done yet. I'm speaking.
Congratulations,
I'm speaking.
Sarah.
I waited. I listened. I waited for you. So I have a literally congratulatory note here for her, and I already sent her a nice congratulatory note. So that's number one. She's no longer a state rep. She's now a county commissioner as of this afternoon. So that's number one. Number two, preemption. Why are we passing other legislation for Miami Gardens, for, Opalaca? Why? Let them pass their own legislation. If they want more density, if they want more intensity, if they want more FAR, let them reach out to their state reps and their state senators and say, hey, listen, expand on Live Local. Why would we want to be more preempted? Why would we want to say, hey, preempt us even more so we lose control of design like we're negotiating with the MARC now, so that we have more units, so that we have more square footage, so that we have more height? I don't want any of that. We want to bring our cities, our projects down, or at least have the ability to negotiate an additional height. For example, Armando Codina and Manny Gathers project for additional 17 feet to get a beautiful park, or Publix to get a little bit of a setback and get a beautiful 20,000 square foot park. The whole point is that we lose the ability to negotiate by the RTZ, and even worse, Live Local. So the idea of you're helping out other cities, and I don't know, I'm in the business of helping out Coral Gables. I'm not in the business of helping out other cities. And Vicky Lopez is no longer a state rep. I love her to death. I supported her. I've been a lifelong supporter of Vicky. She's great, but she's now in the county commission.
So
Madam Vice Mayor.
through the mayor, I'm going to make a couple of suggestions that I think will.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Vice Mayor. I told Commissioner Lara, I got to
Okay.
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
He gave me the.
If you'd like to go, you can go.
It's all right. You want to finish and then I'll go?
Well, I'd like to start.
You didn't start? Okay, you want to hear my suggestions or not?
I'll be quick, because I want to just specific a couple of points that Commissioner Castro directed to me. I'm not accusing you of being pro-developer. I know you've professed to not being that. What I was referring to specifically is that your resolution may have, let's say, the unintended effect of actually being, if it were to be passed, and if it would be successful up in the legislature, actually definitively pro-development. It may not be what you intend, but that's the conversation we're having here on the dais today, is to show you something you may not have realized. Sort of like what Commissioner Fernandez said, just through today's conversation, he's seeing it from a different perspective. You say that you're trying to help out other communities, to get additional entry-level points for low-income housing, right? I would suggest all that I'm doing here is putting the interests of the residents of Coral Gables at the forefront. That's the most important thing to me, not to worry about neighboring communities, right? The most important thing to me is what's happening today here for the Coral Gables resident. This resolution, if passed, would lead us down a path that would be actually, as everyone so far who's chimed in on this point said, would actually increase the density in the city, would strengthen Live Local, which would actually pave the way for further intrusion on home rule. And we have got to hang on to that. In fact, this was a point that I spoke very passionately about with respect to what occurred at the MARC and with respect to the RTZ. The decisions we make and the people that we put on these boards, their actions have consequences. So what may not have been intended to be pro-development coming out of the delays occasioned by the P&Z forced or made it pretty obvious to the developers to go the route of the RTZ and bypassed us completely. We have to be thinking, with all respect, how to work around Live Local, not head on like this. At least the attempt that you're trying to do would actually play into the hands of the developer. At least that's what I believe very strongly. And by the way, a little preview, I'm working on something right now too, on how to attack Live Local. But going to think a little strategically, going to think a little bit outside the box. But this here, and I hope I can prevail upon you to see my view, right, is that this is playing into, if you were to successfully lobby the legislature, right into the hands of the developers, which in turn would be referred to unintentionally, I assume, as pro-development.
Madam Vice Mayor.
So I'm going to dovetail on that. There's a couple points, and I've been, in my conversations with the state legislatures, bringing them up from time to time. If you want to encourage development in other areas where it's more affordable to build, increasing the funding for Section 8 housing would be a beneficial piece. Land is more expensive here, and therefore that would encourage the development. I think the intent that you're trying to achieve here is for development outside of Coral Gables. The short-term rental issue. Well, we're blessed with a grandfather position of having 6 months rentals minimum. It is destroying the rental rates elsewhere because the rate of return, the profit margin on short-term rentals, which are competing with hotels, is taking off the table. All these living units that used to be for, someone starting out, you could have a rental apartment. The choices are clear for people who own those buildings. Why not get the higher profit margin and reap in the dollars hand over fist? Allow the municipalities to control this, and the state would be much better off, and we'll have more housing units available for people of all types of needs. Discussions were also had by state legislators about using land on school grounds to build housing. Our children need space to play. You need the green space. I did make the suggestion for the state legislature, put some money into the schools, that if you're putting money into a gymnasium, you can add a floor or two and have some affordable units there for first responders, people that work in the school, people that live within a certain radius, I should say work within a certain radius, because what you're trying to do is make it more affordable for people so they don't have to drive as much and have the luxury that I do to be 6 minutes away from where I work. Because literally I can walk or drive within 6 minutes to where I need to be. And lastly, one of the points that I made to each one of the legislators is live local is not live more affordable. Transportation is key. So unless you're building along where there's a transportation route or expanding the existing free transportation, we know what insurance costs. We know what it takes to maintain a car. It's extremely expensive and prohibitive for many families. So those were my points that you may want to use in your discussions.
Through the mayor, thank you, Vice Mayor, for at least sharing some of the vision that I was trying to explain. And as closing remarks, because I can see that I don't have any support on this dais, I want to close by saying that the purpose of this legislation was to increase the number of viable workforce housing sites. And in conclusion to that was to be able to push people outside. There was never an attempt to preempt anything or to really increase density. If there was an increase in that legislation, it was something I oversaw from when the city attorney's office went ahead and drafted it. But I did approve it. I oversaw it. So the whole point of this legislation was to push things that could be coming to us outside. Now, if you guys want to help me to amend this to reach that purpose, I would be more than happy to do that.
First and foremost, a preemption is the entire state of Florida. It's not just by city or jurisdiction. Madam City Attorney, will you please explain, did you write this legislation? Did you draft this legislation?
Yes, Mayor, at the request of the commissioner, we drafted the resolution. She obviously had input, as you all do with these types of items. But I don't want to speak for you, Mayor, but I don't think you were suggesting that the resolution was specifically requesting an increase in density. I think you were saying the effect of it would be that there would be
110%.
more opportunity for projects that have an increased density. I
Yeah.
think that's what so it wasn't that the resolution itself, Commissioner, had something in it requesting an increase in density.
I was looking for it. I couldn't find
Again-
it because
again-
that's what the mayor was saying.
again,
I was blown away.
Listen, you don't have to be blown away. The outcome is the facts are the facts. Am I wrong? Yes or no?
As I understood your comment, that's what you were saying, that this would, if there's more of these projects, the legislation already, the state statute already provides for the increased FAR and
It is
density and everything
obvious.
else.
If you expand on live local, it's a threat to our zoning code. So what you're asking to do would not happen in Opalaca or City of Miami or West Miami and South Miami and not happen here. It'll happen here because your live local encompasses the entire state. So by proposing a resolution that requests that live local be expanded, that the FIR be increased, that the height be increased, that the increase in the rent rates, again, you're just causing damage to the city. But I think that's something that's so obvious that I don't understand how that was even missed. So
the
to
mayor.
me, I'm not done yet. Let me just finish. So to me, that's what's scary. This piece of legislation, this resolution is a Trojan horse. And when I spoke to state representatives and senators because I wanted to speak with them and say, let me ask you a question. What am I missing here in this legislation? Where am I? And they said, no, Vince, you're not missing. This legislation, as proposed, sent to the State House and to the Senate as a resolution, would cause damage to your zoning code, would cause damage to your way of life, to your quality of life, because you're increasing live local. You're increasing the interest in doing live local. So this would benefit developers. You would be something, and everybody's saying yes, it would be, look, we're incentivizing developers. We want you to build live local. We don't want people to build live local. We want to have control over design. We want to have control over the heights. We want to have control. And if at the end of the day, somebody comes and says, we want additional height, we want additional FAR, we want additional density or intensity, perfect, we can negotiate. We can negotiate for something and have a conversation. Live local and the RTZ are out of our hands, especially live local. Why would we want to empower live local? It doesn't make sense.
Through the mayor, yeah, we're not empowering Live Local. Live Local is already here. What we're trying to do is push it to other municipalities. That's the whole point of this legislation. You keep on talking about it and more opportunities. Actually, what this does is the complete opposite. We have what we have right now, and we need to work with it and make it work for us. The way we could make it work for us is pushing it to other places that cannot offer it. That's the whole point of this.
Let me just take a stab at it. I think what the commissioner's trying to say is the intent of her legislation was to make it more lucrative for a developer to do live local in another municipality, not in Coral Gables. The adverse effect is you're also raising the value of what they can get from a live local in Coral Gables. So it'll promote, it'll have the two effects. A developer who has more money to invest is going to try to do it in Coral Gables. One that doesn't have as much money to invest is going to do it in another municipality. But it does open up, the adverse effect of the legislation is that it opens up Coral Gables a bit more, but I don't think there was any malicious intent. I think the intent was to try to promote pushing live local across the border and trying to keep it out of Coral Gables. The adverse effect of it is it still makes Coral Gables a little more vulnerable to the live local initiatives that are out there.
Again, we can go in circles all day, and you can try to explain it any way you like. This is reckless and dangerous. And when you say you're anti-development, like if anybody read my newsletter, it was very clear. I put a chart of our voting record over the last 2 years. It's there. It's clear. Your voting record is there. So you can spout off and say that you're anti-development to try to appease certain people in the room, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, the facts are in the way you voted. And at the end of the day, the voters will decide. But my point is, this right here, you're not going to convince me that this pushes live local to other cities. This opens the door to live local in our city because it incentivizes developers. Madam Vice Mayor, am I missing something here?
No.
Because all the state reps and senators that I brought this up to, they're like, Vince, this is that you're opening the door, you're unlocking the door and saying, come to our city. We're going to pay you more rent. We're going to give you more density.
So, I mean, I know it wasn't your intent. And when I've been on teams of lawyers, they usually come to me to do the stuff that deals with financial data and so forth. It wasn't your intent. However, it does have that impact. It's black and white. It's very, very extremely clear to me. Okay, so thank you for trying to help. I know the intention was good. Let's see if we can move forward.
Yeah. All right, do you want to make a motion on your item?
There's no support on
But we're
this.
saying, I'm giving you the opportunity, so you say that you...
I'll move it. I'll move it.
Do we have a second? No, it dies on the floor. Moving on.